What's up, guys? We're back for day 3 of the NCAA tournament. You know what that means. We have second round games here on Saturday, March 23rd. Friday games haven't all finished, but so far things have been going pretty well. We're off to a 4-1 start with Duke just finishing up. They came through getting that win. They had to put on a little bit of a comeback late. It was really annoying. They were kind of icing the game out, but we nailed Baylor minus 13.5, UAB plus 6.5. Marquette came through in the second half for us. They ended up winning by a ton, so they covered that 14.5 points for us. Florida, they made a huge comeback to eventually lose in overtime, so that one was our lone loss so far of the night. Duke, like I said, came through, so the hat's still working out, I guess. Duke minus 11.5, that was a winner. We still have Alabama minus 9 and TCU minus 3.5. TCU hasn't even tipped off yet, but Alabama minus 9. They're up by around 20 points right now, so hopefully they can hold on to that one. Tournament action is really heating up. Let's get after it. Smash the thumbs up button if you want to see our picks every day and subscribe to the channel. Over 75% of viewers aren't subscribed. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below to let us know how your bracket is doing and with all your bets for today or anything else you want to say about these picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Give us your best tournament predictions. I respond to every single comment and I'll give you my best advice on your picks to help us all put up some wins. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got Dayton going up against Arizona. Dayton managed to barely edge out Nevada in their first game of the tournament. In their opening round game, they won 63-60. They used a big second half comeback. They outscored the Wolfpack 38-26 in the second half to get that win. Yeah, they found a way, guys. I don't know how they did it. Dayton's not very good. You can see they only scored 63 points in that game. They're just not a very good team. Nevada played pretty terrible. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. They only got to the free throw line 6 times. Dayton in this game shot 8 of 19 from three-point range. That is fantastic shooting and not exactly what I expect to see from them in this game or down the stretch or just in general. That's not really a huge strength of this team. It doesn't feel like, to me at least. Holmes the second led the way with 18 points and only 2 starters scored in double digits. That's not exactly something that's going to get us super excited. This Dayton team all season long, I don't know why they get so much love from like the selection committee and the rankings and all that stuff. They've just been massively overvalued. Yeah, I know they got the win in the opening round. Like, congratulations, good job. But it was by 3 points and it took a massive comeback and a massive meltdown from Nevada. This team is not great on the boards. They were even on the boards against a poor rebounding team. They're good defensively, I guess, but not exactly amazing. And their offensive production just isn't great. Deron Holmes is a monster. Don't get me wrong, he's great, but other than that, this team doesn't get me going. Arizona comes into this game fresh off of a blowout win over Long Beach State. They did kind of take their time. They only won by 20, so they didn't cover. We were right on Long Beach State in the points in the first half and in the game overall, so that felt pretty good. But Arizona managed to get a convincing win with solid second half play. Hopefully that got the jitters out of the way for them. Caleb Love is a monster. This team just in general is absolutely crazy talented. They're putting up almost the most points in the country. They're at least top 7 in every major statistical category. That's pretty freaking wild. In their win over Long Beach State, we saw every single one of their starters score in double figures. Nobody from the bench scored in double figures. They didn't really empty the bench as soon as you would have liked to see them be able to do, but oh well, not a big deal, right? We're not going to really care too much about that. They actually weren't able to dominate the boards in that game. I think that will change in this one. I think Arizona is going to come out playing a lot better, a lot smarter, and without all of those opening round jitters that they had against Long Beach State. This team is absolutely dominant in pretty much every facet of the game. They've been very good against the spread this season, going 21-13 against the spread overall. Dayton is only 16-15-1 against the spread, and they're just not good. I'm not buying this Dayton team. Give me Arizona minus 9.5. I like this pick a lot. Next up, we're looking at the Gonzaga Bulldogs taking on Kansas. Gonzaga got the very convincing win over McNeese. That busted some people's brackets. I know McNeese was one of the sexy picks to get an opening round upset, but Gonzaga has been playing a lot better down the stretch. They finished their season out very strong. I know they lost to St. Mary's in the WCC championship game, but that is not going to stop us from thinking this team really turned a corner. Middle of the season, they went on a long winning streak. They took down Kentucky during that winning streak. I know, Kentucky, yikes, but whatever. They are playing some of their best ball of the season right now. They looked very good against McNeese. They defended very well against a strong offensive opponent. They dominated the glass, which is a huge plus for this team. They shot the ball well from 3. They managed to get to the free throw line where they make most of their free throws, so that's a very good look. all of their starters but one, so they had 4 starters scoring double figures. The bench guys that we actually care about from Gonzaga played very well, so that's a good sign in this game. We like the way Gonzaga looks right now. Kansas, they couldn't quite get it done for us. We liked Kansas in the first round, -7. They were up big, but they fell apart late to give Samford the cover, but not the win. The Jayhawks weren't able to defend the three-point line very well in that game. They got to the free throw line a lot. They did win the rebounding battle pretty convincingly, and all of their starters scored in double figures, but man, this is a shallow roster. The entire Jayhawks bench, which comprised only 3 players beside their starters getting on the court. Jackson played 22 minutes. The other guys barely even got on the floor. Jackson scored 6 points in his 22 minutes. This squad is just way too top heavy now with their injuries. Their depth is a huge problem. Kansas did not finish their regular season well or their conference tournament well. Obviously, they were hoping they could get McCullough Jr. back, but that did not happen. He's not walking through that door anytime soon. The Jayhawks are in trouble in this one. They're only 13-19-1 against the spread overall this season. Kansas is only +4, so we've got Gonzaga -4 in this game. Give me the Zags for sure. I think they find a way to get the comfortable win and cover against a Kansas team that's just too banged up. It's not really their fault. Give me Gonzaga -4 in this one. The Zags are one of my favorite picks of the day. Next, we're looking at Michigan State going up against North Carolina. This is a clash of 2 absolutely blue blood teams. Michigan State got the comfortable win over Mississippi State in their opening round game. They played one of their best games of the season, it felt like. I don't know, guys. Michigan State did not end the season well. They lost 5 of their last 7 overall. Not exactly great. They weren't putting up amazing numbers, but you know the Izzo effect. First round of the tournament, they're always geared up, ready to go, and they play great. Against Mississippi State, we saw that trademark solid Sparty defense. They had 3 starters scoring double figures, which is pretty solid. They dominated the boards. It was a relatively slow-paced game, but Michigan State just got off to a good start. They won both halves very convincingly. They shot the ball well from 3. They shot the ball well from the field overall, making exactly 50% of their shots, so that's pretty good. Their bench is a little bit of a concern. Their depth isn't great, but we're not too worried about that in this one. We are a little bit worried about this matchup for them, though. Going up against North Carolina, that can be a tough look. The Tar Heels comfortably blew away Wagner in their opening round game. They looked really good in that one. They kind of picked up where they finished off their regular season, if not their conference tournament. Obviously, their conference tournament ended with a loss to NC State, so not exactly the way they had it drawn up. But just in general, the Tar Heels have been a fantastic team all season long. They're one of the best offensive teams in the nation. They're one of the best offensive teams. Actually, no, they're definitely the best offensive team in the ACC. They're a very good rebounding team, which could be a problem for Michigan State. The Tar Heels have plenty of size. Their defense is very good. They can shoot the ball well from 3. In their win over Wagner, we saw North Carolina shoot 50% from 3-point range, going 9 of 18 overall. They got to the free throw line and they dominated the boards. Obviously, Michigan State is a much tougher team than Wagner, but we're not going to be scared off by that one. UNC is 20-15 against the spread overall this season. Michigan State is 19-14-1 against the spread. This isn't going to be one of my bigger bets of the day, but definitely give me UNC -4 in this one. Next up, we're looking at Washington State going up against Iowa State. Washington State comes into this game fresh off of their win over Drake. It was a very close game. They needed a huge come-from-behind performance to end up getting that win and costing us that Drake pick. It would have been nice to get that one right, but oh well, we still had a profitable day, so that's fine. But Drake really let go of the rope in the second half. They had a big lead, and they gave it all up with some costly turnovers. Washington State played well in that game. There's no way around that. They shot 50% from 3-point range, making 7 of 14 long-distance shots. They got to the free throw line a lot, and they won the Battle of the Boards, but it's going to be a lot tougher for them to win the Battle of the Boards or do any of those positive things in this game. Sure, they had Jones go off for 20 points, but I don't know if that's going to be a performance he can replicate, and they can't exactly count on a veteran opponent to make a bunch of mistakes. Iowa State comes into this game fresh off a blowout win over San Diego State. We got that one right. We knew that was going to be an easy one for them. They did mess around a little bit in the first half, but they took care of business in the second half to salt away that win by a very comfortable margin. Iowa State has been one of the absolute best teams in the nation this season overall. They have some of the best defensive play in the nation. Their offense can put up numbers. They finished off their season extremely well with a win over Houston. This team is just firing on all cylinders. In their win over South Dakota State, we saw 3 of their starters scoring double figures. They had 2 double-figure scores off the bench. That is not something that most teams can say at this point in the season. Usually it's pretty much whittled down to the starters and nobody else, but right now this team is showing off a little bit of depth. Shot the ball really well from deep, which is an indication that they're not bothered by playing in this neutral court location. Iowa State is a staggering 24-10-1 against the spread overall this season. That is a wild number. We see Washington State is 18-16 against the spread, but that's not going to scare us off in this one. It's not a very big number. Iowa State's only -6.5 in this game. This might be my biggest bet of the day, guys. Give me Iowa State -6.5. I think they find a way to easily get the job done here. I think they will keep things at least even on the boards. They're going to dominate on the defensive end, and I know you have to finish those defensive possessions off with a defensive rebound, but still, I think Iowa State is easily going to get the win and cover against an overvalued Washington State squad. Next up, we've got the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, one of the Cinderella stories of the early goings here in the tournament, going up against NC State, one of the Cinderella stories of the season overall. Oakland knocked off Kentucky in the opening round thanks almost exclusively to Jack Golke and his 10 made three-pointers in the game. The guy absolutely went nuts. He's having a hell of a moment. I can't believe this is a college basketball player. The dude looks like Channing Tatum in a high school movie. He looks like he's 40 years old to me, but hey, he's out there. He's knocking down shots. He's having the time of his life. We're also hearing from Oakland that they're saying they're not a Cinderella story. Like, guys, you're a Cinderella story. I don't care. You're the best team in the Horizon League. You are not exactly pegged to be advancing here in the NCAA tournament over a blue blood team like Kentucky. The Golden Grizzlies played out of their minds in that win. Besides Golke, we saw two of their starters score in double figures. This team went nuts. They put up 31 three-pointers. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, or they're going to try to shoot a lot of threes, that is. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep up this hot shooting, if they can keep doing so well on the boards. They did out-rebound Kentucky, which is pretty wild considering everything that was going on in that game, but they're going to be up against a much, much more difficult set of opponents here in this one. NC State comes into this game. They are playing absolutely incredible. They're on one of the hottest streaks in college basketball right now. They comfortably dismantled Texas Tech in their opening round game, and now they're on to the second round here with a very winnable matchup. Against Texas Tech, we saw the Wolfpack hold things even on the boards, but they absolutely dominated the game by getting to the free throw line a lot. They shot the ball well from the field in general. They shot almost 40% from three, and they did a great job of defending the three-point line, which is obviously a huge concern when you're going up against a team like Oakland that really likes shooting the ball from distance. Ben Middlebrooks was a monster off the bench in this game. He scored 21 points in 23 minutes. He got to the free throw line a ton. He was just filling up the stat sheet overall. He had 2 steals and 2 blocks on top of everything else. NC State is just a very, very good team. They turned the corner. They're almost at the end of the season in their ACC schedule to absolutely go wild, winning the ACC tournament, and now they're looking to make a dent in the NCAA tournament, and I don't see any reason that that's going to stop anytime soon. Give me NC State -6 in this one. I'm not scared of Oakland. I think they're going to have a letdown of a shooting night in this one, and that's all NC State will need to absolutely dominate this game. They've got the players to defend the three-point line. They can shut down Golke or anyone else that's going off from deep, and they're going to win this game by a pretty comfortable margin. Next up, we've got Texas going up against Tennessee. Texas managed to advance to the second round here with a win over Colorado State. Pretty convincing win, but it was something of a rock fight with a final score of 56-44. All season long, Texas has played decent defense, but not exactly elite, so I'm going to put a little bit of that opening round loss on Colorado State having to already play a tournament game, being a little bit tired coming into this one, and just being a little bit overmatched. In that win, we saw Texas absolutely dominate the first half, with Colorado State only scoring 11 points in the first 20 minutes of the game. That's pretty wild stuff. We saw Texas go only 1 for 14 from three-point range in that game. Guys, that is a big yikes. I can't even imagine. That's such a bad shooting night. They did have 2 starters scoring double figures. They got some solid bench contributions with Weaver scoring in double figures, but overall this Texas team doesn't really get me too excited. Asmus did not have a good game against Colorado State, so that's a concern. Like, is he having trouble here in the tournament? We don't really know, but that first game, I know they got the win, but that was a little bit of shaky ground there for Texas. They better figure things out pretty quick because they're going up against one of the best teams in the nation. The Tennessee Volunteers, they had absolutely no trouble with their opening round game against St. Peter's. They won an absolute blowout, almost doubling up their opponent. Dalton Connect is an absolute monster. Zakai Ziegler is a monster. This team just has great talent up and down the roster. They've been absolutely dominating opponents. They closed out their regular season schedule not looking too hot, but despite some late season struggles, they still came out on top of the SEC, a conference that has not exactly looked great here in the NCAA tournament, but nevertheless, Tennessee has gotten off to a very good start. Tennessee is great on the boards. They play very solid defense. They're a top 50 offensive team in the nation overall. They have some very talented players. Guys, Tennessee is 17-15-1 against the spread. That's nothing special, but Texas is only 13-20 against the spread overall. That's a pretty concerning number, not one we like to see. Tennessee's only -6.5 in this game. They're going to be fine against the good defense of Texas, and we'll see how good Texas defense even is going up against an opponent that has pretty much the same amount of rest. Give me Tennessee -6.5 in this one. I like this bet a lot. Next up, we're looking at the Duquesne Dukes going up against Illinois. Duquesne managed to get by BYU in the opening round despite being a 10.5-point underdog. Duquesne really defended the three-point line well in that game, holding BYU to only 33% from deep when that's their absolute strength. Duquesne played their tails off on the defensive end. They held a good offensive team to only 67 points. They had 3 players scoring double figures. The Dukes themselves shot almost 40% from 3, going 7 of 18 from deep. They rebounded the ball relatively well. They just competed on the glass. They didn't win the rebounding battle, but they were in there just going after it, trying their best. They were a little overmatched athletically, but they did not let that slow them down. Duquesne has been on an absolute heater here in the end of the season. They haven't lost a game in so long. They probably can't hardly even remember what it feels like. This team has been very good on defense all season long. They compete on the boards. They're just a solid squad overall. They've got good wins this season, and they're just following that up with a good performance right off the bat here in the NCAA tournament. Although it's not going to get any easier for them after taking down BYU, now they have to take down another very solid high-scoring offense in Illinois. The Fighting Illini come into this game fresh off of a comfortable win over Morehead State. Things did look a little sketchy for Illinois in the first half as they were only leading by a single point going into halftime, but they came out and dominated the second half by 15 points and got the comfortable win. We saw Terrence Shannon Jr. go nuts for 26 points. We kind of expect that from him on a nightly basis. The real story for Illinois in this game, though, was Danger, who went 9 of 9 from the field and put up 21 points overall. That kind of effort off the bench is absolutely stunning. That's not something you usually see in the NCAA tournament, so big props to him. Big props to Illinois for shooting 46% from three-point range. They also won the battle of the boards, but not convincingly. That's going to be interesting to see if they can out-rebound Duquesne. I think they probably will, but is it going to be by a sizable margin? That seems a little bit unlikely to me. Illinois for sure has the talent advantage in this game, the overall athleticism advantage. They came in second place in the Big Ten. They finished off their season very strong with a conference tournament win over Wisconsin. This team has not been very good defensively all season long, though. They're not a team that plays a ton of defense, and that could be a problem going up against a Duquesne team that does play a ton of defense and can shoot the ball relatively well. Illinois is going to need to dominate on the boards to win this game, and the real problem could be Illinois being able to shoot the ball well from three-point range, with Duquesne being such a good team defending the arc. I like Duquesne in this one a lot, plus 10.5. Give me the Dukes. I think they find a way to at least keep this game competitive. Will they win it straight up? I kind of don't think so, but Illinois was kind of having problems with a team like Morehead State, so I think the Dukes could really give them some problems even in the second half of this game. Give me Duquesne plus 10.5 on our second to last game of the night. Rounding things off, we've got the last NCAA tournament game on the schedule. We've got Oregon going up against Creighton. The Oregon Ducks got a convincing win over South Carolina. The Ducks have been one of the hotter teams in the NCAA, running their way through their conference tournament before finding success in the opening round. Oregon jumped out to a first half lead and never gave it up. They ended up winning the game 87-73, so a very convincing win over what was supposed to be a very good South Carolina team. Oregon shot the ball extremely well from deep, going 7 of 16 from long range. They got to the free throw line a ton. They had 30 free throw attempts, so they were clearly getting the benefit of the whistle as well as just putting the pressure on the defense. Possibly the most interesting thing to take from this game from Oregon was the fact that they dominated the boards against South Carolina. They won the battle of the boards 32-26, a pretty sizable edge going to the Ducks. Cousinard went off for an astounding 40 points in that win. The Oregon bench did not do anything at all, though, scoring only 2 points and not soaking up a ton of minutes. The Ducks shot almost 60% from the field overall, which is crazy, like bonkers type numbers. South Carolina just wasn't playing any defense. They looked super overmatched in that game. Oregon in general played very well down the stretch, but not that great over the course of the season. That doesn't really matter anymore, though. It's tournament time. A team that knows a lot about one-game seasons is Creighton. They come into this game fresh off of a little bit of a scare against Akron. Creighton ended up getting the 17-point win in that game, but things were pretty close in the first half. They went into halftime only up by 5 points. The Blue Jays have been a good team all season long. They absolutely shot the lights out in that win. That was something we thought could be a problem for them, shooting on strange, away from home rims, playing on a neutral court, but that wasn't a big problem. They also dominated the boards. Obviously, as a 14 against a 3 matchups, there's going to be a big gap in talent here, but we did see Creighton really take care of business. They got absolutely no production from their bench, 0 points up and down the roster from the bench, and they didn't soak up that many minutes. Obviously not what you would hope for if you're Creighton, but they got the job done. They got the win and cover, so I guess they're not too upset. All season long, the Blue Jays have been a solid rebounding team and an offensive powerhouse. As long as they're making their shots, they're going to have a very good night. Defensively, this team is very good. Their assist numbers are good, so they move the ball well. This is a really tough one for me to pick. Oregon's so red hot and they're getting 5 points, but Creighton played well in their opening game. I guess I'm going to go with my heart in this one and give me Oregon +5, but guys, this is not going to be one of my bigger bets. I'm barely going to be sprinkling this one in just for fun. Give me Oregon in the points, but it's my lowest confidence pick of the day, I think, by far. That's all the games we have time for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more NCAA basketball action.